Let's talk about Helen Reddy, her iconic song, and now a movie, I Am Woman. Welcome to the Film Threat Podcast. I am Chris Gore. I hope you're having a good day today. It's always a good day when I get to talk to independent filmmakers. And Unjoo Moon is the director behind I Am Woman, which is the biopic of Helen Reddy. Unjoo, thank you so much for joining us on the Film Threat Podcast.
Oh, it's so great to be with you. It's always great to talk about Helen Reddy.
Yes. Well, this song, I grew up and I don't remember a moment where this song wasn't playing on the radio. It's so iconic. It's lasted, wait a sec, how many years has this song been around? It seems like 40 plus years.
More than 50 years now.
50 years. It's crazy what, how this film has never not been relevant. And I would say perhaps more relevant today than at any other time. What led you on your journey and to be in the position to make this film?
Well, I probably had a very similar experience to you because when I was growing up, I heard I Am Woman on the radio, but I was quite a young girl then. So I was sitting in the back of the station wagon and my mother and her friends would be sitting at the front. And as soon as the song would come on, they'd wind down their windows and let their hair loose in the breeze and just really sing along. And I always remember how that song used to make women just seem bolder and stronger. And when I, by chance, met Helen Reddy at an award show, and I sort of maneuvered my way next to her, I made my husband swap seats with me, I really wanted to just talk to her about her career and what it was that made her want to write the lyrics to a song like that. And when I realized what she, what she'd done with her career, it was so much bigger than I actually understood it to be, the scope and the depth and the breadth of it. And then as I got to know her more, I realized her personal journey was such an interesting story that, like you, I was pretty amazed that nobody had done a movie about it.
This isn't just a song; it's an anthem. It really is it's a rallying song, and I'm amazed that I can't think of, it's never really gone away, this song, but
No,
it hasn't.
no, I remember in 2017, I just started working on the screenplay. I was at the Washington Women's March. And I was walking down with that sea of people. In fact, I went and stood at the Lincoln Memorial in the exact same spot at the end of the movie where Helen Reddy sings at the 1989 Mobilize for Women's March. And I stood there in 2017 and I looked across that sea of pink hats and I saw a sign saying, I am woman, hear me roar. And I thought, wow, it's really carried such a long way, the song.
When you worked on the screenplay for the film, what surprised you most that you learned about Helen Reddy in the development process?
I think really that when she'd had her greatest hits and when she was the most successful, she was actually a working mother with 2 children and a very, very young baby. Everybody thinks of, Helen during the I Am Woman years, wearing those 70s jeans and, having that amazing feathered, shaggy haircut. But they forget that at the time she had a baby that had just pretty much been born. And that when she first came to America, she was a single mother with a 3-year-old child. And I just found that so fascinating because I think that quite often when you hear about women who are really successful in their careers, you don't see the combination of being, a parent, a mother, and having that really huge career.
It's interesting because I'm just seeing how she was able to juggle a family life. I really didn't expect that. And I don't think it's a surprise to anyone that she was, received sexism in just trying to get into the industry. I thought that beginning part of the film where she's just trying to make a go of it, as a singer, and just hearing that stuff is just I think that probably surprised no one.
Yeah, I think it was very much, what was happening at the time. And what's really interesting, I think, about Helen's story and about this movie is that you see that the song comes out of her own personal experiences and that moment in history when women were starting to really have a voice, and the rise of the second wave of feminism was coming up, and women were fighting for the Equal Rights Amendment in America and trying to get gender equality put into the Constitution. So it was, it was really a time where, awareness was being woken up. But at the same time, Helen had to face a lot of hurdles. There's that great scene in Capitol Records where they're playing her song, and the record execs are sitting around basically saying, who would want to listen to this? Why did you write a song like this? And then they sort of look at her husband and say, you let her do it. And I think that that's so interesting because that really came from Helen's experience. That's exactly what she went through to try and get that song out there. Plus, what's pretty interesting? Those guys who are in the scene, because we're shooting it at this time, and the actors who play those characters, are pretty, pretty great men. They had a really hard time saying that stuff to her. They kept saying to me, no, we can't say that to her. And I kept saying, well, you're a product of your time.
Well, I'm also curious about, when you're casting a film like this and you're putting together, I feel like there's added pressure on the actors because you're not just, portraying, you're not taking on a role, you're taking on someone who really existed. I feel like there's additional pressure. Can you talk about how you worked with the actors and their roles?
Yes, definitely. I have three main characters in the movie. Helen Reddy, who's played by Tilda Cobham Harvey, Daniel McDonald plays Lillian Roxon, and Evan Peters plays Jeff Wald. And they are three people who have a big legacy, and you can look them up on YouTube. You can see photos of them online. And a lot of people actually remember who they are. So you really need actors who are going to really help embody the spirit of those characters. And especially with the role of Helen, I think that if you know who Helen Reddy is, you have a certain expectation of what you want to see on screen. And if you don't know who Helen Reddy is, you watch this movie and then you'll probably do what I did when I first met Helen Reddy, go and Google everything that she's ever done and spend all night watching her, host the Midnight Special, be on the Carol Burnett show, play in Vegas, have her own show, the Helen Reddy Show. So getting that casting right was really, really key. And we really took our time in doing that and did a pretty extensive search, especially with the role of Helen. We looked in 5 different countries, and amazingly we found Tilda, who is Australian. And I really knew that when I met Hilda, that with her life experience and everything that she, just the sort of the way I knew she would embrace this character, that she was going to be absolutely the perfect Helen for us.
Now, let's talk about the real Helen. I'm fascinated. I need to learn, what did she think of this? I mean, I do love that you pay tribute to her at the end of the film, but what has been her impression now seeing her story on screen?
Well, that was probably the hardest screening I've ever had to do. And I don't know if I can get a harder screening than that, because as the movie starts, you hear Helen Reddy's real voice singing that beautiful song, You're My World. And I sat in the cinema and suddenly had this sort of shock moment where I thought, oh, Helen is actually sitting right in front of me, and she's going to watch a story of her life told through my eyes. So I did start to panic, but that was pretty short-lived because I realized pretty quickly that Helen was singing along to her own songs, and really she was in the movie and being part of it. And at the end of the movie, when the end title cards come on, Helen read each of them aloud. And she got to the final one about the Equal Rights Amendment never being passed and put into the US Constitution. And Helen cried, and she cried not because she was sad, but I think she really cried because she felt the impact of having watched her life on screen. And she hugged her 2 children, and then she hugged me, and then I knew I had her blessing to keep finishing the movie.
Well, does she understand the impact that this song has had, that it's endured 50 years now, that the struggle is still ongoing, yet the song is an anthem for that? Does that weigh on her? Did it weigh on you?
Well, it certainly weighed on me, and I think that Helen has seen that, you know, in many stages of her career. I think we show the song twice in the movie because you really see how differently the song feels for her and the different meaning it takes on at 2 different stages of her life. And I've certainly seen the song take on different stages in my life as well, from when I heard it to being a young girl, to watching it at the Women's March in 2017, to making this movie. But at the end of the day, I feel like this movie, even though it really embraces the song, you know, Helen in some ways is so much more than the song. And I think that this movie, you know, really shows that as well.
Well, congratulations on the movie, Unjoo Moon. Thank you for being on the Film Threat podcast. It's a pleasure. I want to thank our sponsor, 2 Storyblocks. Go to storyblocks.com/filmthreat. And I'm just, you did an amazing job on the film. I'm a big fan of musical biopics are one of my favorite genres. So you knocked it out of the park. So thank you so much.
We should go out singing the song. I mean, it's one of your favorites. Maybe you can start.
No one wants to hear me sing. And I come from a family of singers, and I have no musical talent whatsoever.
But I love that you remember the song and that you've really enjoyed the film. You know, I always say that I made this movie for mothers and daughters, and then the sons and the men that they love.
Just as a son to a single mother, and I've 3 sisters. This is a song that was cranked very loudly in the car, so I remember it fondly. And thank you so much again for being on the Film Threat podcast. It's been an absolute pleasure. And I can't wait to see what you do next, because really, congratulations.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I hope everybody enjoys the film.
Thanks again.
Bye.